Thank you so much for being here. Welcome to Power 2026. Hard to believe this is our fourth year doing Power, and God, it feels like the first year. We're still getting it all set up, figuring out how to make sure we can create value for all of you. So my name is Jason Ray, co-founder, CEO of Paperless Parts. On behalf of the team, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time to be here. Time is a really interesting thing because you have only a finite amount of it, and I know how busy you all are. So we want you to get maximum value for your time at this event. That's always our goal at Paperless Parts. How do we make sure that what you're investing, whether it's money spent on our software, whether it's hours spent with our team, how do you get the most value for that? So before I dive into a keynote, I just want to, if you need something while you are at this event, if you have a question that you came with, make sure you find someone on our team. We have demo stations. Come find me. I'm happy to sit down, chat with you to make sure you get the most of your time being here. So without further ado, I want to say one more thing. And this is the key takeaway from the keynote. So at the risk of ruining the punchline, I just want to make sure that you all hear this. The next 5 years, I believe, will be the most significant and most consistent demand this industry has ever seen, at least in my lifetime, definitely in the last 10 years since we've started this business. It's going to be enormous opportunity. There will be winners and there will be losers, just like everything else in life. But you are here, you have the tools, you are working on your business in addition to working in your business, and we believe that you will be successful and you will come out on top. But the demand is real and it's coming. So let's make work of these next 2 days, and let's make sure that you are ready to take that on. So again, thanks for being here. I want to take a moment just to thank our sponsors. So this event has gotten a lot bigger over the years, and it wouldn't be possible without the folks that step up. They want to come here. They want to talk to you. So please take a moment when you walk around, when you're getting lunch, talk to some of these folks. Like us, they're all focused on helping you win. And they're here because they care about the industry. So it's a tight alignment with our goals, your goals, their goals. So I really appreciate the sponsors stepping up, making sure this event is possible and affordable. It's really incredible to see this room. Like I said, this is our fourth year doing Power. This picture is actually from our first Power user conference. So I don't know if you can tell, but the room has gotten slightly larger, and this was in our office. So we coordinated it ourselves. We ordered DoorDash lunch for everyone. Seriously. And it was amazing because what we said when we started this event is we're constantly shipping new features, but if we're building things that our customers are not taking advantage of, or if we're building things and we're not taking your feedback on how we build those things and they don't actually solve problems, it's totally worthless. It defeats the purpose of building software if our customers are not taking advantage of it. So we created Power. It's called Power for a reason, because we want you to drive the car in 5th gear. Paperless Parts, that's your vessel. We want to make sure that you're getting the absolute most out of the technology that we're bringing to market. So this year, the theme of Power is to focus on what matters. And we say that because there's so much noise in the industry right now. You have AI on. How many people have heard of AI? See, I knew. We've all heard of this, right? It's on your LinkedIn feeds. You're being shamed into using Claude to organize your calendar, maybe figure out, I used to figure out groceries, get some recipes from it. But I think there's so much noise that it can cause you to not be focused on the right things. And it can cause you to forget what industry you're actually in and what your core purpose is in the industry. So we said, let's make the theme focus on what matters. Let's make sure that we can help our customers cut through the noise, and let's focus on the most practical, useful, and targeted applications of technology, not just spread the peanut butter across. So I mentioned this when we first kicked off. Demand is through the roof. We are seeing 50,000 quotes a week go through Paperless Parts. Like when we first did this event, we were in the single-digit thousands of quotes, if that. So demand is absolutely off the charts, and it's coming from a lot of different places. And the thing that I think is most unique about this time is it's not a blip. It's not like, oh man, everybody's reacting to coming out of the heels of COVID and we're going to see an upswing and then we're going to see a downswing. It's not like that. It feels very different. I'm going to start and talk about a few industries here. The first one is aerospace. So some of you work in commercial aerospace, some of you deal with these companies, but there are historic backlogs right now. So if you're not up to date on your aviation week, Boeing and Airbus have over 10 years worth of committed orders, 10 years of production, over $1 trillion worth of committed orders for airplanes. And what are they saying? They're saying, Jeff Carpenter, VP of Supply Chain, up on stage, AeroDef, is like, oh, by the way, our supply chain can't keep up. That's the reason we can't deliver more than 680 airplanes a year. I don't know that I believe that, but that's what's being said. And they are looking to their supply chain to figure out how to increase production to keep up with demand. Defense spending, there's a little bit going on in the world right now. This is booming. I know it was going to be a big joke, like defense is booming. So 2.6 trillion in global spending in the last 12 months. Never before seen spending. That is absolutely enormous. $950 billion of that is being spent in the United States. That is our defense budget. That's what we are spending to rearm, to modernize, to prepare. And there are proposals on the table right now that take that up 40%. That's unreal. That's massive. And that's over a year or two period of time. So when we were first doing this conference, we talked about this thing, CMMC. How many people have heard of CMMC? Anybody? All right. Everyone's still awake. This is good. So if you are questioning the value in being CMMC compliant, don't. It's huge. The defense industry, so many shops will not be able to keep up with this demand, and so many shops will make the mistake of being late to the game and getting audited, and they will not be able to take advantage of increased defense spending. So if you're wondering about it, if you have questions about it, if you want to understand how Paperless Parts supports you there, please reach out to our team. We also have partners that do the third-party audits, so we can help you navigate this. But I think defense spending is going to continue because it's not just the conflicts that are going on right now, but it's the conflicts on the horizon that we really have to be concerned about. And I care about our national security. I think all of you do as well. So this is going to continue. We just saw a show of hands. Everybody's heard of AI, right? So all the hyperscalers out there, the Googles, the Metas, the Microsofts, they're predicting over the next 5 years, compute is going to have to double. So you've all heard of Moore's Law, and it's like, okay, yeah, well, computers get faster every 18 months. Who cares? That is not this. This is data center build out, massive infrastructure. It's not just construction projects. So it's not like, oh, maybe if we were at the Procore conference and we're talking about construction software, that would matter. No, there's over 1 million components in a data center. And the data centers are enormous. And they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So real numbers, to double compute, you will need 1,000 to 2,000 new data centers. I can't even fathom building 1,000 data centers in 5 years. There's so much metal. There's so much demand going into the industry. And the data centers are really only half of the equation. Energy infrastructure. So when you look at a data center, that is effectively a just massive energy consumption, building, like cloud. And at the end of the day, the power stack that sits behind those data centers is nowhere where it needs to be, not even close. It is going to take unbelievable amounts of energy resources. And so you read the news, you look at LinkedIn, what are we seeing? Nuclear power is going to save us. Really? Small module? I love it. I would love to see that. but the first small modular reactor companies, they're going public right now. And they're not predicting that their reactors will be online until 2030. And that's the first one. You all know what it's like when you make the first run of something, or you have, your prototypes going out the door. You think it's going to work well. You think it's going to actually hit the deadline. So that's not going to solve our problem. We've got a 5-year build out that's going to require an equally sized build out. So $1 trillion going into data centers, $1 trillion going into the energy infrastructure to support them. This is going to be the largest energy infrastructure build out since we electrified the country. Like I was trying to fathom it. I was talking to ChatGPT and I'm like, no, but help me really understand it. Like, is it actually, what does that look like? Are we laying cable? It is batteries, it's generation, it's natural gas, it's alternative energy, solar, wind. You're gonna have to throw everything you possibly can at this so that our houses stay lit while the Googles and the Metas of the world go try to change the way work happens, which we all know will maybe line up, but maybe not line up with what we do. So we're going to get into more of that a little bit later. So I think you have tremendous opportunity right now. And I think this is also, though, where the complexity begins. It would be different if one of these industries was spiking and you could align your growth and align the way you scale with one of the industries, but that's not the case. It's all coming on really fast and really hard, and the timelines are compressing, the pressure is on, but the consistent demand signal is the thing that we need to invest in scaling our businesses. If we know the demand is coming, that's a totally different environment than having to try to wonder, well, will there be demand for the capacity I'm building? Can I make investments with confidence? So our goal is to make sure you are positioned to capitalize on this next 5 years. We want to make sure you're set up for success. We want to make sure you're thinking about it the right way. And we want to make sure we're a good partner to you in flagging the risks. So I want to talk about that a little bit, because we come back to the theme of the conference: focus on what matters. More demand doesn't always equal more value. You see it all the time, right? When you're not focused, when you're undisciplined, you get spread too thin and things start to fall through the cracks. That's what we see happening in the industry right now as demand increases. You're starting to see RFQs that used to be a handful of parts turn into dozens or hundreds or thousands. We had a customer who had a 40,000 part number RFQ with a 1-week response time. Good luck. Yeah, right? Good luck. Good luck not making mistakes. Good luck sifting through the noise. I beat the drum of triage. I don't know if that word resonates with all of you, but when I look at RFQs that come in and I see the volume, I'm like, man, you got to triage this. You got to find a way to get on target really fast and not waste time on the work that's not going to create value for you. Can't do it. Can't afford it. There's too much demand coming behind it. So if you're waiting and your quotes are going out 3, 4 days, 5 days, a week, 2 weeks, you've already lost. You might as well just throw out the backlog and start from day one. Don't waste time on it. You can't. You have to be focused. Our most successful customers at Paperless Parts, I'm talking about by revenue dollars, the most successful, no quote, more than any of the other customers. When we first started, we didn't have a no quote functionality. We literally, there was no button to no quote. Now there is, because we are seeing our customers have to deal with so much more noise, and they're having to sift through that noise. One of the things that we recognized when we started the business is that as you move, and this is a kind of a cool graphic, it represents the supply chain, top-down look. As you move from OEM through the tiers of the supply chain, we're consistently seeing a declining fidelity of technical data. So what that means in practice is the OEM's working with probably modern CAD, maybe not if you're part of the Boeing supply chain, but working with modern CAD. They have drawing packages, they have definitions of requirements, they have their specs, and all that goes out to their tier one. And then their tier one saves it down. They cut it apart, they shuffle it out to their vendors, and maybe the CAD model falls off. And maybe you're getting one page of a 100-page drawing package that's been extracted. And this is where we start to see the flow down of requirements fall apart. One of the biggest problems, I've been sitting at these conferences in aerospace and defense, listening to the supply chain managers speak about their problems. One of the biggest problems they have is flow down of requirements. They have no visibility past the first tier of the supply chain. So they're saying, hey, a part must look like this, a part must have these specific certifications, you know, whatever it ends up being, but it falls off as you move through the supply chain. So that more noise plus declining fidelity equals more risk. Pretty simple equation. It gets very, very risky the further down the stack you are. And when the mistakes happen after you've made the part, you've realized, oh, there's a mistake. That is the most disruptive and the most corrosive to your margins. I'd rather the mistakes, we identify those as early as possible in the process of triaging what we're about to take on. So we want to help you focus and raise the fidelity of this information so that we're, at the very least, there's a safety net. I think what's happening, you know, what do they say? It rolls downhill. I'm trying not to swear because our son is going to start learning words, and if I say shit rolls downhill, he'll say it and then it'll be really bad, but it does. So you have OEMs where the buyers and the sourcing professionals, they are now being asked to do a heck of a lot more. So the demand signal starts with them getting the demand. We have to go buy X amount in this amount of time. So we know before we even started this company, buyers weren't what they used to be. They weren't connected to their supply chains where they know you by name, they know your capabilities, they know the couple hundred part numbers that they're buying, they can tell you the gotchas. It's a very different supply chain today. It's a very different customer base. But now it's starting to turn into much more of a spray and pray. And what I mean by that is when we look at RFQs that are coming into paperless parts, what we're seeing is such a diverse mix of parts packaged together and thrown over the fence that adds to the noise. It makes it very, very difficult for you to have to go through all the administrative burden to find what are the right parts for my business and how do I not step on the landmines that actually aren't a good fit for me, but for some reason they're stuck in this RFQ. And that is simply sourcing managers trying to contend with the amount of demand they're being faced with, because their job is what? Go get all these parts on order as fast as you can. And oh, by the way, save us 5% while you're doing it. It's not an easy position to be in. And as technology, AI, and I have to say it 50 times, I was talking to our board and they're like, if you say AI 50 times during the presentation, your valuation will go up. So I've got a clicker over there. But as they incorporate AI technology into sourcing practices, what you're going to see is more of it. More spray, faster. They'll be responsive, but it won't be a human. It'll be a bot. It'll be Claude going out asking you, hey, I need you to update this. Hey, why can't you do this cheaper? So you need to be ready to deal with all of that. The industry is starting to figure out how to restructure to deal with this, right? There's an imbalance. US industrial base, we're talking somewhere between, we say there's about 25,000 CNC machine shops, contract manufacturers, somewhere around 7,000 to 9,000 sheet metal fabricators in the US, those two processes, and then you add on a bunch of other processes. So maybe there's about 80,000 businesses after you've gone through injection molding and you've gone through some of the rubbers and some of the plastics and other industries. So call it 80, let's just say 80,000 businesses. Well, highly fragmented. The average revenue of a machine shop in the United States is just under 5 million in revenue. So there's a huge imbalance in buyer economics, right? Buyer power, supplier power. So we have small machine shops working with really large OEMs that can effectively impose their will. If you ever go through some of these terms and conditions before you even take on a job, You have to agree to what, 120-day payment terms, maybe 180 days, maybe they don't ever pay you, who knows? But we're starting to see the industry focus on fixing this problem structurally. So when we started Paperless Parts, we had the belief and we had the theory that this industry would change hands between 2020 and 2030. We said, this will be the largest transition of ownership in the US industrial base. Part of it is people are getting older, they're retiring, they're passing on their businesses. Part of it is, consolidation, which is what we're actually seeing right now. But I did not expect to see as much private equity money getting plowed into the industry. It's enormous, huge. Shops are getting acquired every single week, and they're getting pulled into organizations that are now working to distribute the risk. They're trying to figure out how do they scale to meet the demand. Well, the fastest way to scale is I'm going to go buy another shop and I'm going to have 50 new heads instead. Can you imagine trying to hire 50 people right now? Never happen. There is no way to scale. It does not exist. So they're buying and they're consolidating. And it's not just in the US, buying internationally, and they're finding ways to distribute the risk and rebalance the supply chain. But it's actually not fixing the problem entirely. So while it does distribute some of the risk, we all talk about customer concentration, right? If one of your customers makes up 50% of your revenue, that's scary. So as I buy more shops, now I have more customer distribution. I don't have that concentration. So if one customer behaves poorly, I don't have to deal with that. But that's only a piece of the problem, because what these organizations really want is they want their teams to play as a single entity. They want them all to work together, but they're contending with different ERP systems, different management styles, different structures, different types of work, different customer bases, and it's a lot to coordinate. So while we're seeing this happen, I don't think it actually is going to fix the problem. And the real problem is that the accidents happen at intersections. So one of the best pieces of business advice I've ever been given, I sat down, so like entrepreneur in residence at Goldman Sachs, and he said, look, he's like, you need to remember, intersections are where the accidents always happen. He goes, when you're driving on the highway, he's like, yeah, accidents can happen there, but the intersections in your business are where the problems come up. And that's something we've used at Paperless Parts. We look at the handoffs. We look at how it feels when you go from a BDR, business development rep, to a salesperson, into onboarding, into customer success, how our support teams work. We've really tried to make those intersections smooth because we know dropped balls at handoffs is really where problems occur. Well, what we've noticed is the same thing is true about the industrial supply chain. The intersections between you and the sites you have, between you and your vendors, between you and your customers, every time data is changing hands, going from one business to another business, getting saved on a shared drive, getting re-uploaded to different CAD systems, creates the potential for risk. So instead of focusing on what matters, like capturing the demand, making and delivering great parts on time, you're focused on everything around it. All the noise. Oh my gosh, we've got to deal with this. Oh, this customer's not, giving us what we need so that we can quote this accurately. This vendor's not being responsive. This material is late. Whatever it is, right? We changed something on the shop floor and now the parts aren't coming out well. And this problem is something we've been working on solving with you. That's our goal. We want to make sure that you don't get sucked into focusing on administrative problems. We want to make sure that you can focus on doing what you do best. My co-founder, Jay, calls it your unique ability. It's where you create the most value in your business and you also enjoy doing it. That's a key piece of this, because if it's not fun, not worth doing. Not worth doing. So we're building the platform that enhances the way you work so you can focus on what matters. And we're doing it together. And that's why I love this event, because it gives us an opportunity to get real-time feedback, to understand the problems, so that the next year, when we roll out new functionality, you can say, oh yeah, we talked about that at Power last year. I can literally tell you everything that we are releasing at Power this year was talked about at a previous Power conference. So cool. It's so cool to see those dots connected. And software development is getting faster, which is fantastic. But more features, just like more demand, doesn't always equal more value. There's a lot of noise right now going on in software. So I want to talk about some of the things that we've done together as we've moved through the years of paperless parts. The single most valuable thing I hear from our customers, and in the sales cycle, you go through and it's like the sexy automation of costing and pricing and coming up with our, our hours and all that stuff. That's what people, that's the sizzle. The steak and the reason our customers tell me they love paperless parts and the reason they tell me they can scale their businesses is because we're consolidating and centralizing the quoting process. So instead of being in Excel spreadsheets, email, you're then in an ERP system, you're pulling up your CAD system. Oh, by the way, you're printing out the drawings. We're starting to pull all of those disparate silos into one centralized process. And when we do that, it takes estimating from being a single player game to being a multiplayer game. And the organizations that we are seeing scale, our customers that are generating more revenue, that are growing faster, they're growing more efficiently, they are doing it with estimating as a team sport. Maybe one person project manages it, but at the end of the day, there are multiple people being tagged in, specialize, sourcing, come in, help me figure out machinability, come in, help me look through the margins and make sure that we're pricing this to win. It's multiple stakeholders driving the process forward in parallel. It only works if you are centralized in paperless parts. So we've focused on building dashboards that allow you to see what's going on in your business the way you need to see it for your specific role. It was a big change in paperless parts because we assumed that the people looking at these dashboards would only be estimators. So it was designed around an estimator. But what our customers are starting to discover is, as we've made changes to this, they can filter these dashboards however they want. So my question to you is, what do you spend the first 5 minutes of every day doing? And how do you make that the most valuable 5 minutes of the day? I would argue if you drink a cup of coffee and you look at a dashboard that was configured to what you care about in paperless parts, that 5 minutes is going to pay dividends the whole day. I'm sure all of you are similar to me. I'm always looking for how I can make the biggest impact on our business and help our customers the most. But if I don't have visibility of what's going on and I can't see it, I can't do anything. I feel like I'm handcuffed. It's like, wow, unleash the beast. Let me go somewhere and solve a problem. This should help you understand what's happening in your business and where things are stuck. Administrative friction, we talked about it. Demand is increasing. That's amazing. It's going to be consistent over 5 years. That's amazing also. But administrative burden comes with that demand. So how do we do it? Well, we want to automate as many of the rote tasks as possible to give you time back. This is, we could call this AI, we can call these rules, however you think about it. But we've invested in going from quote setup all the way through to now I'm going to price these parts and trying to compress that value stream as much as possible. First, it starts with quote setup. So last 24 months, we released Quote Setup. Quote Setup was a tool that allowed you to go from a large RFQ package into paperless parts, structure the quote, and most importantly, catch your buyer's mistakes. What are you missing? What's not in the package? What do you need? Where the part numbers don't line up? It amazes me. I tell this story and then I'll have people ask me and they're like, well, does that really happen? Do buyers send out RFQs where the part numbers don't match the drawings? Oh my God, not in America, not in this country, really? That's what we do? Yeah, no, it happens every single day. So if you don't catch it right away and you're operating in a linear fashion, I'm gonna quote the first one, the next one, the next one. Now you get down to 50 and it's a day later or 2 days later or a week later, and you're like, oh, wait a second, I don't have the files I need. Someone else already won that job. Don't waste your time. You gotta catch the mistakes as early as possible in the process. Then we went to the bomb builder. So one of the things that we saw in the industry, and especially in our customer base, and you'll see some stats on the TVs around, but our customers are moving up in complexity. They're taking on more complex jobs. They're moving closer to the final product to fight commoditization. That's the goal. We want to take on more complex work, add more value to that work, own the value stream. They want to do it. So we need to build tools that support you in doing that. It's not like you get a nice CAD model with all the parts labeled properly, or a drawing that has a BOM table that tells you exactly what it's supposed to look like. It's a mess. Every bill of materials, every large assembly package that we've looked at is a mess. It really is. Varying degrees of mess, but it's a mess. So we've really invested in making that easier for you to handle and more automated so that you're not making mistakes that erode your margins. Requirements review. We launched this last year. How many people have heard of requirements review? Handful? Okay. This is one of the things that I want to encourage you to learn more about this at this event. I think it is one of the more powerful features inside of Paperless Parts from a triage perspective. So it takes our artificial intelligence technology for reading drawings, reading PDFs. It allows you to interact with what we extract or simply interact with any word or text string that could exist and build automation on top of that. This is the key to no quoting. It really is. All of you probably have in the back of your mind the types of parts you do not want to work on. You understand the sizes, you understand the outside processes that you don't have great vendors for. Requirements review allows our customers to take hundreds of drawings and very quickly no quote what they don't want to work on. And that allows you to focus on what matters. Lastly, we enhanced our geometric manufacturability analysis. This was designed from early days paperless parts, but it allows you to go in and understand what's going on in a model. Now, customers will always ask us this. They'll say, but my machines are different than the guy down the street. What's going on with this? You can configure these rules to your business. If you leave it on the way it comes in the software, it's a little bit of a car alarm because we're going to flag everything. Because in a demo, we want to be like, look, we're amazing. We catch all this shit in the model. But at the end of the day, what you really care about is what's going to impact your business. So going in, tying these to material types, to work centers, you can do this in Paperless Parts. So when you do get CAD models, you have some support to work through a large package and not make mistakes. Lastly, and hot off the press today, we are releasing new multi-site management functionality. Oh yeah, so it's great. Yeah, awesome. Hey, it's the soundtrack in my head. Yeah, no, I know. Well, so what's interesting is not all of you are multi-site organizations. So you're probably like, well, that's cute. Like, I'm really glad you're helping those guys. This technology is designed to make it easier to work across sites. We're starting with the sites you own. It's going to grow into all of your vendors and maybe someday make it easier for you to interact with your customers. So this multi-site functionality, it's going to enable you to drive automation into one of the longest poles that we hear in the estimating process, which is getting pricing from your outside vendors and getting lead times and being able to incorporate that back into really large quote packages. This technology serves as the underlying plumbing for that. And just to make sure you stick around for tomorrow, during our product roadmap keynote with our CTO, Jason Luce, he's going to talk about how this technology is going to morph into vendor RFQs and how you're going to see that this year. So stay tuned. Everything we do at Paperless Parts, it's targeted at rising the tide for all of our customers. So even though functionality may seem like it's just for one segment, we build with the entire customer base in mind because we want you to win. Powering all of this, we wouldn't be a software company today if we were not leaning into AI, but we do it a little bit differently. And we're really focused on making sure that it's not not subjective AI, like, oh, it may be right, it may tell me the wrong thing tomorrow, but it's very objective and very targeted at the tasks you need to solve. You'll notice a lot of purple popping up in the platform. Those are our prompts. Well, we are investing heavily, not only in manufacturing aware AI, but in AI technology that is FedRAMP compliant. So as you take on this demand that's coming from the Department of War or Department of Defense, as you take that on, you are going to be able to leverage the most modern technology to drive automation in your business. So without further ado, and someone who is going to be much better at talking about what we're doing in AI than I am, I want to invite my co-founder, Scott Sawyer, up here, and he's going to share a little bit more about what we're releasing today. Scott?
Thank you. Awesome. All right. Thank you, Jason. I don't think you made it to 50, so I will do my best to get us to 50 mentions of AI. Take a look at this orange line. Year after year, AI capability is growing exponentially. Exponentially. You hear that word a lot. It gets misused, so it's easy to miss when something amazing is really happening. Before 2022, unless you were in the field, AI didn't matter to you. Since then, it has exploded. So think about today's models versus just what was available 2 years ago. It's hard to quantify that, but people try and they make benchmarks, and those put it conservatively at 10x improvement. Now imagine this continues. Imagine the models get another 10 times smarter. What's that going to mean for us, for your businesses? Can't go on forever. We'll hit constraints. We'll run out of power or data. Certainly won't be metal racks. We'll be fine there. And then not everyone agrees how long it'll go, but we've got multiple more generations of this. And let's take a quick aside and talk about what is driving this trend. A lot of you remember when computers were getting better exponentially. So in the 90s, you could buy a new computer every couple of years. It cost about the same, but you could count on it being significantly faster and more powerful. That was driven by Moore's Law. That let companies like Intel put more and more transistors on a chip. That took us from pocket calculators to iPhones in 30 years. That's not what's driving this. Companies like NVIDIA are making better chips, and that's helping. But this is primarily driven by the size of the models. That size in terms of how much data they train on, size in terms of square feet of data center space required, and size in terms of power consumption. All of those things drive cost. Cost is not flat as we improve capability exponentially. So if you imagine in a couple of years there being some super intelligent model that you can run on pro mode, that's probably going to be too expensive to use to revise your email or plan your workout or make a recipe. Now let's look at a second curve. This is the impact that artificial intelligence is having on the real world. When I look around at the manufacturing industry, I see the impact lagging and growing more slowly than the technology itself. One of our jobs at Paperless Parts is to bridge this gap, bring new technology where it matters into manufacturing. So that doesn't mean just bolting on a chatbot or adding expensive new features that don't add real value. What it means is finding or creating technology that solves your real problems. And we need to do it in a way that's secure, effective, and low risk. One problem that really stands out today is the tech data you're quoting every day. The engineers designing new parts, they have access to great software. They're following best practices like using model-based definitions, and within their four walls, they have a robust digital thread. But as Jason talked about, the fidelity of that data degrades as it moves through the supply chain. So it starts as this great 3D model design. When it becomes an RFQ, maybe it's a step file export and a drawing. And then at the next stage in the supply chain, it's just the drawing, and then the finishing shop's getting a heavily redacted drawing, and the metal distributor's getting an email with 2 sentences. And that's for new parts. A lot of you quote old parts. Parts that were designed literally by hand 50 years ago, scanned into a computer system 20 years ago, calling out specifications that were retired 10 years ago, and the quote's due tomorrow. Anyone done that before? every day. So that is where AI can help. Today, we're introducing Wingman 2.0. We're pleased to announce new models supporting our assistance features of requirements review and found in files. This is live in your accounts today. It introduces some new detection types, including surface finishes, bend lines, chamfers, threads, and more. And it has better extraction performance on the dimensions, tolerances, feature control frames, holes, countersinks, and counterbores, and everything we've been detecting for over a year. In the last 90 days, Wingman has flagged 250,000 requirements based on the rules you've all created. That ensures that estimators don't miss critical details in complicated tech data. This new model is starting to understand the structure of these documents more deeply than ever before. So it can understand the structural elements on the page, title blocks, 2D and 3D views, notes lists, groups of callouts that apply to the same feature. And it's also getting a lot better at hard-to-read pages like densely packed and handwritten prints. We've also packaged this in an improved user interface. So I'd like to show that to you. So suppose you've got a complicated call out here. We can zoom in, and with a single click, we'll see all 3 callouts associated with this hole. So we have the hole, the countersink, the control frame. With a single click, we can create a requirements review rule right from here. We can also copy and paste that content. Now, if you want to see what's going on the whole page, the Found in Files app is now its own panel, and you can see at a glance everything going on here. So let's click another complicated call out. Here's a struggle you've probably dealt with. Hey, where's datum C? Well, you can click that and jump right to it. That'll jump to other pages too. And then we can also navigate between the regions on the print, going from 3D views, 2D views. We can look at the notes list, and we can zoom out and see the title block here. So this is a really helpful way to navigate long and complicated prints. And maybe we'll show just one more thing. This has been one of the most requested features since we started extracting things from PDFs, material suggestions. So now if we find a material specification on your print, we will make that suggestion in the material field in Paperless Parts. So the trend here, the strategy we're taking is as we get better and better at extracting things with more reliability, we are baking that into the workflows so that your process of quoting from prints becomes more and more automated. So there's a lot more to say about these features and a lot of the other features we're working on right now. So I encourage you all, I'll plug it again, I encourage you all to attend the product roadmap session with our CTO, Jason Luce. That is tomorrow afternoon, right here in this room. All right, what's more, Wingman is getting better fast. So this model extracts 14 times more information per page than it did at the last Power conference. So what's happening is we're able to ride this wave of the wider AI exponential and use that to design our systems, implement code really quickly, train and fine-tune models, and then integrate that into our app so that we're keeping pace with everything else that's going on. If you'd like a peek behind the curtain on how this all works, if you want to dig in a little bit deeper, I'm hosting a breakout session this afternoon that goes into a lot more detail. And of course, we do this all in ways that are secure, compliant, and affordable. So by building our own models and systems, we're able to process these files quickly and without charging you per token. These AI principles guide our entire approach to new technology. Everything we do has you, the humans who actually use the software, and the businesses you support as the focus. Last year, I told you AI makes suggestions, humans make decisions. The models have improved, they're going to continue to get better, but that approach has not changed. Power is the biggest week of the year for us. We are really excited to share with you what we've done, what we're working on now. And most importantly, we want to hear from you firsthand about your challenges and your wins over the last year. If there's anything our team can do for you to make these next 2 days as valuable as possible, please let us know. Our team is easy to find. We're all over the place. We're proud to be a leader in AI for manufacturing, but we also know we can't solve that alone. So we've brought the experts here to you, and in a moment, we're going to have a discussion on AI in manufacturing featuring a panel of industry leaders from Hexagon, PTC, and PhysicsX. While they come up, please give yourselves and each other a round of applause for being here and choosing to make this investment in your businesses and yourselves. Thanks so much. Welcome to Power 2026.